It says recording pending. What does that mean? You're recording this meeting. Be sure to let everyone know that. Okay, it's recording now. Sorry, I'm not sure. There's like some connection going on. So we have a few items on the agenda. So first thing we'll have roll call. Maria, you can go ahead.
Hey guys, Senator Casey.
Here.
Senator Grant.
Here.
Senator Hector. Senator Germain. Senator Jordan. Senator Navia.
Here.
Senator Paola. Senator Stefania.
Here.
Senator Tara.
Here.
Senator Sophia.
Here.
Senator Melisa.
Melisa won't be here.
Senator Victoria.
Victoria says she'll be late.
Senator Bushraw.
Here.
Senator Alexica.
Alexica also won't be here.
Senator Stephanie.
Here.
Senator Brian.
Here.
Senator David.
Here.
Senator Andy.
Here.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
And Jermaine just entered, it looks like.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm here.
We're at quorum, correct, Maria?
There's 13.
All right. Okay. So first item we have on the agenda is approving the meeting minutes that were submitted, or the meeting minutes from our last meeting on March 31st. So of course, this was in your email, or in the email that I sent out. Were there any concerns, questions about these meeting minutes that were submitted? Okay. I know that there were some questions from last week, so let me know if those still need to be addressed. And yeah, just let me know towards officer reports if they still need to be addressed. All right, so we'll go ahead and approve those meeting minutes unanimously. So next item we have on the agenda is the voting of the health and wellness legislation. Hold on, I'm sorry. All right, so I know at the last meeting, we had presented this for reading, and it went through, of course, with no issues or no questions. So I'll need a motion to move forward.
I move that we go into a period of voting.
I second that.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move into a period of voting. So I just sent that in the chat, the Senate chat, on SGA, Microsoft Teams. So go ahead and give yourselves about a few minutes to go ahead and submit your vote for this legislation. And I don't know if I ever told y'all, but I know we had so we were meeting in person, and so of course we weren't doing the music, but when we were doing the music, so like we were getting flagged on YouTube for copyright because it was just music in the background that was playing. So yeah, I was very irritated by that because some of the stuff like we had to clip out on YouTube. So unfortunately, you can just hear my beautiful voice talking.
Damn copyright rules.
I'm dead. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we had a total of 13, so I need 2 more submissions that we're missing. Okay. All right, so that bill was approved unanimously. So congratulations to the many members who submitted that. And I'm excited for this new piece of legislation. All right. All right, so next item we have is the pronoun legislation. And so this was also submitted last week at the meeting. Okay. I'll need a motion to go ahead and move forward with this bill as well.
Motion to move to a period of voting.
I
I
second.
second that. Oh,
All right, Maria, are you, did you get who seconded it?
Yes, that was Sophia, right?
Yes, I believe so. I know it was somebody else as well, but it's all good. Okay, so I just think that one as well. All right, it looks like we're hitting item after item. All right, that was approved unanimously as well. Well, excuse me, so it was approved 11 to, well, I'm waiting on a few responses, but as of right now, it was approved. And the last legislation was approved 11 to 1. I think I said it unanimously for that. I just wanted to correct that for the minutes. Okay. Next item we have is Willis Library. Okay, I'll take a motion.
Okay, Cam, I move to amend S 2021 R7 to add a co-author or she's an intern. I just can't.
Are you wanting to add someone to the bill?
Yes. Totally forgot to do that. It is Kalia Ruiz. I could just type it in there. She's an intern.
If you don't mind, yeah, just sending it in the chat for me. Okay, thank you. Were there any objections for this amendment? No objections? SGA intern, correct, David?
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 second. Wait, I gotta, well, never mind. I can see it on my phone. My computer isn't updating as of right now. This is not italicized. Okay, that is done. Okay, so are there any motions?
I move to vote on S 2021 R7 Willis Library hours.
Second.
Okay. All right.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, I was saying that I wanted to object, but my Bluetooth for some reason was going off weird. I had a question regarding the bill.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Go ahead. We can go ahead and renege. We'll just go ahead and what was the question?
Okay. So my question for this bill was, has anybody been in contact with anybody with Willis Library already before we pass this?
So when it comes to the resolution itself, no. That's also why we're not mandating that they open it up to 24 hours. The idea of the legislation was to evaluate what that looks like and because there hasn't been contact to the student body for this issue. So this is simply just asking them to evaluate and publish that information to us so we know what that looks like for Willis going forward.
Okay, that was my only question.
Okay.
You know, if we have a question, just real quick one.
Go
So
ahead.
is that actually worded, from my memory, I don't think it is, but I could be wrong. Does it say that we just want all relevant information to be made public, or is it just saying we want it to be open?
Yeah, Willis Library administration staff provide regular updates on the return to normal business hours. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then Cam, I don't have a question. This is more a suggestion. If this bill does pass, I just suggest that we do reach out to the library, like us just not pass it once Michael is done, so that, you know, it's pressure on them, if that makes sense. Even if Michael signs it or does not sign it, I do believe that this is something that's been valid by many students, have been brought up. So let's just make sure we're applying pressure to the authors of the bill, especially as we move into the summer session.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, so you wanting us to reach out like instantly to go ahead and bring this up? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I guess we would still have to go through the process, of course, of waiting on Michael to sign or not. So I'm saying after that process is done, then I'm just encouraging us to keep applying pressure.
Oh,
on
okay,
this
okay.
issue.
I understand. All right. Yeah, no, that's okay. Understood. Because this is going to Diane and Mr. Scott. Okay, yeah. So yeah, okay. Sounds good. All right. So I'll need a motion to go back to the period that we were just in.
Motion. Go ahead, Casey. Sorry.
I move to vote on S 2021 R7 Willis Library hours.
I second
I
that.
second.
Okay. All right. I think, yeah, I had already sent it. So go ahead and cast your votes, please.
Is there a new one or is it the old one?
It's the same one.
Same one. That's what I mean for this one. The
Yeah.
same. Okay.
Mhm. It's the one I had just sent. All right.
Hey Cam, I have a question.
Yes.
I saw on the agenda we had a Kahoot. Is that not? I'm assuming that's not happening.
Girl, did I pass it?
Not that I
Okay.
necessarily want to do a Kahoot. I'm just curious.
I'm kind of
Yeah,
sad
no.
with Sophia on that. I love him as much as the next person, but
Okay, that's fine. I don't know how I missed it. I just skipped the entire item. No, that's okay. We'll have one for next week because I did kind of have a cute one. But hopefully y'all will be into doing it next week.
and next week's in person and the whole state of the student body /
Yes.
SGA awards and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so we will be posting about it hopefully tomorrow. So you know, I honestly, when we were talking about it, I didn't realize like that was like in a week and a half. So we submitted the event form. We're just waiting to hear back if it is going to be in person or not. But I believe we're just going to be posting in general just to go ahead and notify people just so that they're able to register for it. And then once we find out if it's in person or not, then we'll put out that information. But of course, I believe we will be proactive and just let people know if it is going to be in person to get your COVID test already, just in case, since it is going to be the same process for that. Okay, so that bill was approved unanimously. So thank you, congratulations to the bill authors. And I'll send this over to Michael, and then once he signs it, then we'll touch base with the Willis Library about that bill. Okay, so okay, now we're on to new business. So we do have an election board appointment. So Lydia Plush is here to be appointed as that last final seat for election board. So as you guys know, elections will be over on Friday. And so this is just in case there's any sort of issues that we may have where we need a tiebreaker vote. So this is super, super, super important. So I want to give the floor to Lydia. So Lydia, you'll just pretty much just talk about yourself in this first portion, and then from there, I'll facilitate the next conversation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So hi, everyone. So for those who don't know me, like Cam said, my name is Lydia Plush. I use she, her pronouns. And I'm interested in serving in this capacity this semester. So this is my graduating semester. I am quite busy, but kind of when the opportunity was brought up and I looked more into it, I do think that it is a very important, obviously, position to have. I am a social work student, and so ethics are kind of at the very core of what I want to pursue in my career. And so that's one reason why I feel like having an unbiased and impartial board is significant to this organization in particular. My leadership background kind of has centered a lot in the Black Student Union, and then I've had different opportunities outside of that I've taken, such as a student advisory board for my social work program. I've served as the director of academics and retention for for the Black Student Union. And I've also been part of their peer mentorship program as a peer mentor, Eagle Angels, which is kind of a spirit and service organization, different things like that. So certainly if y'all have questions, I would be happy to answer them. But that's kind of a little bit about me and why I'm interested in serving in this capacity. SGA obviously holds a lot of weight, being the kind of liaison between the student body and administration. And so it's certainly important, I think, that we have people in those leadership positions who will commit to pursuing the best interest of the student body, rather than kind of I lost the word I was looking for, but I think that it's important to have people who are willing to advocate on behalf of the student body and not really look for again, I can't think of the word, but that's kind of a little bit about me. So if you'll have any questions, like I said, I would be more than happy to answer those.
All right. Are there any motions?
Motion to go to a period of questioning.
Second.
All right. Grant, go ahead with the first question.
So first of all, Lydia, I'm not doubting your credentials in any way. I think having that strong ethical / moral compass in this position should an occasion arise where you would have to be a tiebreaker. But I guess my question is to you, with there has been some controversy with one of the candidates due to being connected to, let's say, more conservative ideals. And
I'm sorry, it cut out after you said ideals.
Oh, it's okay. So there's like this loud noise. I was like, oh,
there's a truck driving by my house. Probably that's what it was. Sorry about that.
No, that's cool. So if there were so one of the candidates has very conservative ideals, and it has been a big topic of controversy and discussion during on social media. I mean, I've paid attention to it, and I'm saying if it came down to it, to where it was, and then the other candidates have been more of a progressive type of thinking. If it came down to the wire and you were the tie-breaking vote on anything, and let's say one candidate, it was neck and neck, how would you vote? Would you vote with your conscience, or would you vote with your political ideas? And what I mean by, or your political affiliations, and what I mean by that is, regardless of what they stand for, or regardless of what they're wanting to do, will you be, like, say right here, right now, that you will vote as much as ethical and moral, as independent and fairness as possible?
So I can with confidence say that I would absolutely vote as ethically as possible. I think what it comes down to is who has the best interest of who has the best interest of the student body, and who's going to absolutely, without a doubt, convey and take what the majority of the student body, and of course members of the Senate and the other members of SGA want to bring to the university. And so of course campus culture and political views kind of comes into that, but at the very core of it, I certainly would place morality on a higher pedestal than my personal views, because I don't think it has anything to do with me, quite honestly, and kind of taking myself out of that situation and voting as impartially as possible.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Jermaine, did you have a question?
I was actually going to motion to move to period of voting, but if somebody has a question, then
I was only asking because you were the second. You seconded the motion.
Oh, Oh, no. I don't have a question.
Were there any other questions or a motion?
I have a question.
Okay,
So
go.
have you read the election code?
Yes, I looked over it this morning in addition to the bylaws and constitution for the Student Government Association.
That's fantastic. That's all.
All right. Are there any other questions or motions?
If
I move
nobody has
to-
any further questions, I move to a period of voting.
I second that motion.
All right.
Hey, Cam,
Yes,
have you already sent it?
I just did.
Oh, okay.
Did you get it?
Yeah. Sometimes it's slow for me.
Oh, no, you're okay.
Hey Cam, I don't know what that is in front of us, but like when we vote like that, can we have that up where it says like the ayes and nays?
Like this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To show that people are voting.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying I like it up there. That's just my opinion.
Sorry, I never honestly thought about showing y'all. I don't know. I never put it up on the screen because I would just look at the numbers, and then I saw you could flip it over to the responses. Okay. What's she saying? Oh, she's talking about our votes. All right. Well, I believe that is the total count. Lydia, so you were approved unanimously. So congratulations.
Thanks, y'all. I do have to run, but I'm excited to work with y'all in the future, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your meeting.
All right. Bye, Lydia. Okay. So next item we have, so we have two pieces of legislation on the agenda to go through a reading portion. Where is it? Oh, here it is right here. So we had S 2021 R8 2122 transportation prices submitted by Maria, Senator Maria, as well as Senator Grant. So if the bill authors would like to go ahead and review and read this bill.
I'll read it.
Okay.
Okay, as 2021-2022 transportation prices, whereas student financial security is at an all-time crucial point due to the COVID-19 pandemic affecting the country's economy and job security for students enrolled at the University of North Texas, both on campus and off campus. Whereas the financial strain of university enrollment is already a stressful situation as a significant portion of students work multiple jobs while balancing coursework. With the added stress of the pandemic facing the United States, the average stress of UNT students has risen significantly. Whereas the average financial strain university enrollment has on a student, in addition to the strain of the pandemic, students should not have to worry about their safety on campus, especially at night when trying to further their education. Whereas in 2020, there was an increase in domestic violence and stalking cases on campus, according to UNT survivor advocate, graduate student Elia Hernandez. This information is also supported by the 60-day crime and fire log released by the University of North Texas Police Department. Let it be resolved that to combat the mental health strain of the COVID-19 pandemic, an increase in domestic violence and trespassing on campus have had on students at the University of North Texas, the University of North Texas Parking and Transportation Services should have no increase in parking permit prices for the 2021 school year. Let it further be resolved that the UNT Parking and Transportation Services also reduces parking citation fees from reserved spaces from $125 to $100 and reduces the tow fee from $125 to $100. The department also should introduce a new remote parking permit instead of the first time in college permit, and the remote permit will cost $195. Let it further be resolved that UNT Parking and Transportation Services introduces new single semester permit options that are $150 per semester. The department should also extend hours of evening permits from 5:30 p.m. to 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. to 7 a.m. with no price increase. Let it further be resolved that a copy of this legislation be sent to the following individuals: Bill Donovan, Parking and Transportation Services Senior Director. And respectfully submitted by Grant and I.
All right, thank you. So it was interesting that I had heard that you guys have been working with Transportation Services, and then he came and presented the presentation last week about this.
Marie, would you mind if I take that?
You got it.
So, Cameron, or I guess everybody, Maria and I have been working on this since or doing something where they implement these policies way back in December, to where we understood the initial thought was to kind of tackle just the stalking and domestic violence, especially over there kind of at Fry Street for the students at night. And then for some odd reason, there was this time gap to where we sent multiple emails. We reached out multiple times to the transportation people with no answer, and then lo and behold, we get a email from Bill Donovan, who came and spoke to us, to where they were implementing these policies on which we spoke about in length, with multiple meetings, multiple emails, multiple communications, I'd like to say. And so this basically, so since UNT will be basically already facilitating this in the next upcoming fall semester and then some, this is for ceremonial purposes, just to show that we are behind the transportation department when there is anything in price reductions, safety concerns, anything like that, to where we can bring awareness to not only them, because Bill has talked to us about that the UNT transportation people do kind of get a bad rep, just because, they're like, oh, the ticketers are coming to get, or the violation citation people are coming to come get you. Prices astronomically high. And so this would kind of help get us behind them, saying, hey, we support any legislation, any policies of UNT that, again, lower in prices to already, if there wasn't even a pandemic, college students we're not the top 1%ers, as I'd like to say. We have books, classes, tuition, lunch, meals, whatever. There's always some financialness, so anything would boast this. So this is for ceremonial purposes only. And Senator Casey did bring up that we talked a little bit, and this is a concern that he might raise, and you can raise it if you want, Casey, that why don't we go ahead and get Bill to sign off on this, include him as one of the signatories of this. Maria and I actually had an in-person meeting with Bill, Mr. Donovan, that Friday. I think it was before the senatorial panel, so that just kind of gave y'all a reference if y'all don't know the exact date, and he's signed off on this. He's all good with it for the ceremonial purposes. He gave us the itemized list of basically what we put into this piece of legislation. So I hope that kind of answers your question there, Cam. I know I kind of went on for a little bit.
No, you're okay. Only reason I was bringing it up, so actually Christian had brought it up to me, and we had a meeting with the administration today, specifically speaking on communication and how there's a lot of things that appear after we were talking about it. Student leaders were talking about it, and how upsetting it is that happens, kind of taking credit for, what we've been working on.
Exactly. Me and Maria and I thought, we're like, come on, people. Kind of
right.
Stuff. But, we talked to them, at least it's on paper now, and they're coming out with it. Long story short, as long as at the end of the day, policies are being changed to help better the students, I think we can all agree as representatives of our constituents, of the student body. I think as long as it helps our constituents in the end, I think we're mission accomplished in that sense.
All right. Well, thank you guys for the submission.
Real quick, though, with that said, Maria and I also have some other policies that we'd want to get out of the way that we're partnering with the UNT Transportation on the side of this. and it would help us go a lot smoother to facilitate bringing more awareness to some of the transportation prices, as well as a lot of the new implementing new policies of the transportation people, as well as we're partnering to where we can bolster the reputation and awareness of SGA and what we get to do, as well as helping the reputation of the UNT Transit. With that said, I motion to put this piece of legislation into, what is it called? Emergency status.
I second that.
I'm sorry. I heard a second, and then Casey, what did you say?
I object. To the point of the objection, I just don't see it as necessary to use the emergency status. Especially if it's ceremonial. This will go through to a vote next week. It's not time sensitive, but as well as it needs to be amended. So,
how does it need to be amended?
Well,
I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going through a process of questioning now. So let's go ahead and get a motion so we can continue to ask more questions.
I'll motion to move to a period of questioning.
Okay, Casey, go ahead.
I second.
Well, with the concern that you have.
Yeah, it says in the second, let it be resolved, transportation services also reduces parking citation fees for reserved spaces from 125 to 100. That should be 125 to 50.
250. That's what he said in his presentation?
Yeah, and that's in the daily article that posted this.
Were there any objections to that amendment? All right, we'll go ahead and make that amendment. So that has been amended. All right. Were there any other questions, concerns?
Yeah, Cam, I had a question.
Yes.
Okay, so first I wanted to say Maria and Grant, great job on working on this. I know y'all been working with transportation for a while, so hats off on that. I will say is if it's any way possible to make sure that this is transition to who's ever next, because we know that we're in a transition period and I don't want y'all hard work to die off. So just make sure that if it's possible, Cam, or I don't know if we need to add a clause or if Cam or Michael will just already do this, but please put it in somebody's transition documents that this has already being worked on, if that makes sense.
Of course.
Can I answer JT's concern?
Sure.
So JT, this is again just for ceremonial purposes. This is going to happen either way. The UNT Transportation Department, from my understanding and from the conversation that we've had with Bill, and as when he came and spoke to us, is that this is already in motion, kind of thing.
Oh, it should have been clear. My bad. I was talking about the other outside workings that you mentioned earlier. I'm sorry. I was talking about this. I was talking about the future workings that you talked about earlier.
Oh, yes. We've actually, again, me and Maria, we don't want to kind of jinx anything, especially after we had that kind of little gap when the UNT transportation people kind of disappeared on us for a little bit. But we've talked to Bill, and we're still in very good communication with Mr. Donovan, to where he is like all for this kind of thing. We've already set stuff up, an idea that we're going to run this by Mr. Donovan, the transportation people, is kind of coming during flight week and kind of offering some awareness in that sense, as well as this will kind of do a double-handed kind of thing to where that's probably not the right one. That sounds shady. To where it's a cooperation between SGA and the transportation people, to where it will kind of hopefully grow our numbers as well as their reputation and all of the resources with them. And I kind of would also like to kind of answer Casey's thing, because this kind of also goes along with JT's concern. I think it does. And Maria, chime in at any time if I'm like saying something like that's not right. The reason why I want to put this, or the reason why we want to put this in emergency status, is because this would kind of help transition and secure it to be like, okay, the ball's rolling, we're ready to go to phase 2, which again is coming during the flight week. That's when we're targeting to come, regardless, as on behalf of the Senate. So if this is kind of like in the back kind of thing, we cannot move forward, or it'd be a little bit more difficult to move forward with the future plans of SGA partnership with the transportation department. I do understand, Casey, that the concern is like we use the emergency status quite often, and sometimes, you know, it could be argued that it's used too often, but it's kind of like, this is our second to last meeting. So I don't want to play, I'm playing it safe and saying, if we can get this through the Senate as quick as possible in front of Michael to where he can veto or pass it, whatever, then that's my concern. That's what I want to get this done with, secured, and then me and Maria can move forward with other partnerships with the UNT Transit. But if you still have a problem, I kind of would like to take a pulse check of the rest of the senators and kind of see what they think. If that would kind of help sway your, what is it called? Recalling your objection.
If I
sorry.
could just interject, I'm sorry. So I guess the concern is that if Michael vetoes the legislation, so we do our time schedule, Michael, Senate would be over, session would be over, even if we do approve it and vote on it today. I'm just putting that out there just because I don't understand exactly what's the difference between voting it now and voting it next week. I understand the importance of it, but that's just my feelings about exactly, sending it through emergency just because it isn't time sensitive. But Casey, go ahead.
Yeah, I move to, if no one else has any other questions, to a period of discussion.
So this, okay, so we
So
are
questioning, now we're
in
going
a reading meeting. So this legislation is just to be read and questioned. So technically, I mean, the motion to go into a period of discussion would be for our voting meeting.
Okay.
But with that said, Cameron, if we're wanting to put this in emergency status and then have further discussion on it, could we do that?
Yeah, if it's a 2/3 vote by Senate.
Then can we do that to do the emergency status? Let's vote on it. A motion to go to a period of voting to put this in emergency status.
I object.
Second.
Okay. I object because I think that Casey has made a great point. At the end of the day, because it's ceremonial grant, I don't see the emphasis on us voting on it. Regardless if Michael vetoes this or not, it's happening, right? So I don't think that there needs to be a big push for us to vote on it, if that makes sense, because it's not going to make a difference. And it's not going to make a difference with Michael signing it. With Michael, even if he vetoes it, this will still go into effect, if that makes sense.
Yes, and I understand the reasoning behind this. It's just to help us, Marie and I, with our future plans, because I think we actually have, or we've scheduled another meeting or something, I think, with the UNT transportation to people, to where if this is passed, we say we got this through the Senate, we're ready to move on to phase 2. That's where my concern is. I don't want this to be a speed bump or a hindrance on when Marie and I are focusing on the future plans of partnering with the UNT Transit. That's my only objection or concern if this doesn't go into emergency status.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. I think this debate might be better suited to debate on the motion to place an emergency status.
I thought that's what we're on.
He hasn't acknowledged the motion yet.
No, because the motion was objected.
Yeah.
So there was an objection to the motion. So that's the reason why I didn't acknowledge it, because it seems that there are a few senators who are concerned about sending it through emergency status. Now, if there's a motion to go ahead and take a vote, then we can go ahead and take a vote to send it to emergency status. But there wasn't a motion for that.
I thought that's what I motioned for, and then
Well,
that was objected.
So you
That
said
motion
send it to
was
emergency
denied.
status.
That
Yeah,
motion was denied by me.
Put it in emergency status. To vote to see if we can put it in emergency status.
Before anyone makes any motions, I'd like to add something. The reason we want this to be put in emergency status is because as soon as the Senate approves or does not approve this legislation, we're planning on meeting with transportation again to push forward our next steps. And so if it's approved by the Senate this week and the Senate approves this week, then we can start moving forward and kind of figuring out some of our plans. But if we don't vote on it next week, that pushes our agenda back by a week for the rest of the semester, and then school might end. We might run out of time to work on this. So this is kind of the first step in our greater plans to increase awareness of transportation across campus.
I guess I have a question.
May I Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just, I guess, confused on, well, in my concern with the emergency status is because it waters down the purpose of what it was designed for. And I don't see it as necessary. But my question with this is, if we don't put it in emergency status this week, what is stopping y'all from being able to still communicate with transportation? This will get voted on next week, but this doesn't stop y'all from having conversations with transportation, especially since Grant said this was stuff that was happening in the fall. So I guess that's where I'm also very confused.
Summer/fall.
I mean, that still, I guess, gets confusing because we're going to vote on it next week.
No, but again, kind of going off what Maria said, we've kind of have we don't want to. If it passes through the Senate, that's all we're wanting. That is the bare minimum of what we're wanting, because then it says, oh, the Senate's approved it, then it goes to the executive branch to veto or pass, whatever. The reason why we will still have communication with the UNT Transportation Department. That is, I mean, unless they ghost us again like they did that one time, and then, we're back on it again. This is just to make sure that there's no further roadblocks and we can move, as Maria poetically said, I might add, moving to the greater plans of what we're trying to do with them. So this would just be like phase 1 complete. Now we're going to phase 2 in that kind of sense. And I understand, Casey, that the power of the emergency status, but I mean, like, that could be something we could address later on. But if you voiced it to me, saying that it has already been overused. So I'm saying if it's already been overused for them, I'm kind of like, well, why can't I use the emergency status for what I believe to be emergency status quality in that sense? But again, that's where my head's at.
Yeah, and I don't want this to become a procedural debate. That was just my concern. Just because there's a hole in a procedure, I don't want it to seem like we can just continue to use it.
No, I completely 100% agree.
And I just want to make this clear. I have no problem with the legislation itself. Yeah. It's just how procedures, how it's being carried out.
Yeah.
I have a question for Maria, or Grant, either one of you. Is the meeting between this Wednesday and next Wednesday that y'all having with transportation?
We told transportation that we would circle back to them after it's approved by the Senate.
Yeah.
And so the sooner the better, essentially.
So there's no.
Basically, the next meeting will happen after this thing gets passed, and we're trying.
So is there a guarantee that if we pass this today through emergency status, that you both will have a meeting with transportation by next Wednesday?
Our last meeting, they responded to us on Tuesday, and we were able to meet with them that Thursday. So I would say the average turnaround time with scheduling meetings with them has been about 48 hours. So under that precedent, I would say yes. And also, I would like to recognize Devin to speak.
Seconded.
Thank you, Senator. And good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm coming into this a little late. It's been an interesting day. At this juncture, I do have a couple of comments on the resolution, but at this juncture, I want to focus specifically on the procedure. And I think this may be, again, I'm not in a position where I can check this at the moment, but is a motion to place a resolution into emergency through a 2/3 roll call. I think that's my question, because if it is objectionable, then any one senator could shut down the ability to vote of the entire body on a measure like this. So again, this is not speaking in favor or against. This is simply in the interest of making sure we're on the same page when it comes to procedure. Is the motion that JT made in order? I think is the question I've got.
For what?
To vote against or to object to a consideration of the Senate through a 2/3 vote on the emergency status for the resolution. I don't know if that's something the Sergeant at Arms or Cameron can answer, but
that was my understanding from like that. So like if someone wants to motion to put it in emergency status, we go automatically to that 2/3 voting. That was my understanding. But but again, I'm kind of a dummy when it comes to that kind of really the nitty gritty kind of stuff.
So, and maybe this is something that Krista may be able to weigh in. I don't know if you feel comfortable weighing in on this, Krista, but my understanding is if there's a motion for a 2/3 vote on something like this, it would not be objectionable. Is that correct?
Is there objection allowing Krista to speak?
I recognize Ms. Krista to speak.
I'm not sure, Devin, if it's because it's a 2/3 vote, but I agree. Y'all need to move on. And to do that, if you object to putting it on 2/3 vote, just vote no. So I would just suggest going into the motion to put it in emergency status. And if you like it, vote yes. If you don't, vote no, and then you can move on because y'all got bigger fish to fry than this procedural motion. That's my 2 cents.
I move that we vote to move this bill to this resolution to emergency status by roll call vote.
I second.
Second.
All right. Let me see. Maria, can you track this for me, please?
Yes.
All right, Senator Casey.
Nay.
Senator Grant.
Yay.
Senator Germain.
Yay.
Senator Navia.
Yay.
Senator Paola.
She's not here.
Okay, Senator Stefania.
Yay.
Senator Tara. Senator Maria.
Yay.
Senator Sophia.
Yay.
Senator Victoria.
Yay.
Senator Bushra. Senator Stephanie.
Yay.
Senator Brian.
Yay.
Senator David.
Nay.
Senator Andy.
No.
Okay. How many? That was it 5 no's?
That was 8 yes,
4 no's.
4 no's.
It would need to pass with 13, correct? Majority? 2/3 majority would need to pass with 13 because we're going off of the total attendance for Senate. So we have 19 senators standing, 2/3 would be 13. Simple 2/3 majority. Times 19. Yeah, that'll be 12.66. All right, so that failed. So the bill would just be going through regular status. Okay. Were there any other questions about the resolution? Any other? No. All right. So we'll go ahead and move forward to the next bill that we have submitted by Senator Andy. Simplification of Senate discipline process. All right, Senator, you can go ahead and read your bill.
Awesome. If it's okay with the Senate, I'll skip the parts that I didn't amend because there's just a lot there and it's already in the bylaws. But it says S 2021 B4 simplification of Senate discipline process. Whereas the Senate conducts its meetings according to the current edition of Robert's Rules of Order, which is Robert's Rules of Order newly revised 12th edition, which is also known as Ronner. Whereas Ronner 12th edition provides methods to discipline members. Whereas the SGA bylaws mention removing a member only briefly and in the process overrides Ronner 12th edition in an ambiguous and haphazard manner. Let it be resolved that the following changes be made to the UNT SGA bylaws. Section F, or subsection F. The sergeant at arms shall be charged to direct those members who are deemed out of order to correct previous actions, raise points of order during the meeting when correct procedure is not being followed, and in extreme case circumstances, request the speaker name a member. Naming is used as defined in the current edition of Robert's Rules of Order. Subsection O, the presiding officer may name a member only after calling the member to order on 3 separate occasions for similar offenses. These calls to order must specify that the member is in danger of being named. Subsection P, the presiding officer may name a member if no senator objects. A senator may not object to their own naming. Respectfully submitted, Senator Andy McDowell.
All right, so were there any
There's
questions?
actually more to the bill.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
Scrolling down.
Yes.
Right here.
Chloe Thompson, Kaylee Bragg, Asa Shrestha, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, Zoe Brown, and Christian Lewis. I've attached appendices, which sort of explain sort of what's going on. Basically explains Robert's Rules of Order in procedure to name someone, which is basically levying charges against someone if they were acting out of order, such as, providing personal insults or taking the floor when they weren't recognized or things like that. I would basically, yeah, that's all. Sorry.
All right, senators, this will be a moment for questions.
I have a question. Oh, well, I motion to move into a period of questioning.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
All right, JT, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to ask is, what is this exactly going to do? If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. That's my bad. So the way Robert's Rules of Order outlines discipline is there are 3 categories. You can sort of informally discipline someone, just say, hey, you're acting out of order. You can formally call someone to order, which is to say, hey, I call you to order because you insulted Senator A. Or you can name someone, which is comparable to sort of charging them with a procedural violation, sort of like a crime, but not that severe. But it is severe. And usually, when you remove a member from a body, you do it through the process of naming. And so when the speaker names someone, they say, okay, I've named the senator. Now, Senate, what do you think his punishment should be? And then the speaker will take motions as to what their punishment should be, which is most often censuring them or removing them from the chambers. This is a process that we actually already follow. Robert's Rules of Order is already in our bylaws, and we already kind of follow it. I'm striking out the remove the member from the body language because it implies that the speaker can remove a member from the body. But nowhere else in the bylaws does it say the speaker has the power to remove the member from the body. It's only in this specific subsection for some reason, sort of tacked on to the powers of the sergeant at arms, and it seems arbitrary, and it could cause complications when the speaker does remove someone from the body, and suddenly we have a Supreme Court case on our hands. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I think you did. I think you answered my question. I don't personally see the purpose, but that's my personal opinion. Y'all can move to the next question.
Okay.
All right. Was there another question?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So if I'm right, this is more of a clarification to vague language. Is that pretty much what I'm getting to it, right?
That's entirely correct.
Gotcha.
As the language exists right now, it implies that the speaker has a power that isn't provided for anywhere else in the bylaws. And so if the speaker does remove a member from the body, what is the process for that? It's very vague. And in fact, it's only referenced in subsection F.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Was there another question?
I have one just for clarification purposes. Why would this be a point of order for the Senate and not the Supreme Court? In the instance of calling out a member and removing them from the body.
My understanding is removing from the body meant removing from the chambers. An entire new reason to remove the vague language. But the Senate does have the power to remove a member from the chambers if they're acting out of order, which could mean they're being obnoxiously loud and won't stop, or something like that. So the body can continue with its business. And that doesn't necessarily have to move.
So then
all the way to the
by
Supreme.
removing, are you talking about like yo, get out of the meeting kind of removing, or like yo, you're out of Senate kind of removing?
Well, the problem is the language I'm striking out, I'm removing, says remove the member from the body. It's not really clear what that means. And in fact, the code of conduct suggests that removing a member from membership of the Senate requires a Supreme Court trial. So I took it to mean remove a member from the physical Senate room, from the meeting, which is something the Senate is allowed to do under Robert's Rules of Order. I know it's a little confusing, and it's all the more confusing because I'm not really sure what the language that I intend to strike out actually means, which could result, the fact that we have to debate what this language means kind of proves the point that it's very vague and haphazard.
Well, if that's the case, if we don't know what the language means, should we be writing a bill to amend said language if we don't even know the intended purpose of the language? I want to know your thought process behind this. That's all.
Sure. So the Senate inherently, under Robert's Rules of Order, inherently has methods to police itself. And that comes in the three things that's the primary job of the speaker, is to, tell members when they're being out of order. I think we can all agree personally attacking a senator or perhaps using profanity is not to the level of conduct that the Senate wants, and so therefore it's out of order, and so senators can be reprimanded for that. And usually that means a call to order, but sometimes in severe enough cases it can mean they need to be physically removed from the space because they won't stop insulting people or whatever. And naming a senator is simply means it is a official charge that the senator has done something wrong. it doesn't carry any inherent punishments. The punishments come from what the Senate decides the punishments are. And if you go to, I believe it's Appendix B, that includes the language from Robert's Rules of Order, 12th edition, that deals with naming specifically, and it outlines the process there. And I tried to simplify it a little bit in Appendix A.
Okay. Was there another question?
I had one.
Okay, go ahead, Grant.
I kind of like what Sophia said. Like, should we really be touching this if we really don't know a clear definition on what it means? From my understanding, there was when I was first reading this, the bylaws and all that, that I watched an old YouTube video of an incident on where this kind of occurred, and it was back a couple years, to be perfectly honest, when SGA was doing some type of many different administrations ago, many different times. It was a very controversial issue to where students then came and protested, to where they had to be escorted out of the building by UNT PD. So my question is, if this is being kind of, in my opinion, this is kind of along the same lines of that, to where if my interpretation of this is like, basically, if they're just being like, hey, we ain't going to listen to the speaker no more, and we're just going to be obnoxious, we're just disrupting the order and all that, then that said senator, which is then I think the name a member, would be like forcibly removing them from the body. And if they got kicked out of the, if the question that came up to where they would be like just kicked out of SGA, the Senate, then there is a process through the Supreme Court to where they can go and appeal their case to where why they should or should not be kicked out, to where they then go argue before the Supreme Court. So this kind of answers both of those topics. I don't see and again, this is kind of like JT said, I don't see the purpose of this if we already have backup on backup on backup on the different interpretations of this.
So this is primarily to prevent the vague language of requesting the speaker remove the member from the body. So as it reads now, the sergeant at arms is allowed to request that the speaker remove a member from the body.
Yeah.
But it doesn't outline any reasoning. It doesn't outline any procedure, and in fact, the bylaws don't give that power to the speaker directly, because there is language that gives the speaker certain powers, but that is not one of the enumerated powers, which I believe leaves this very, very particular edge case. I think it leaves it very open to create a Supreme Court case that could pose a couple problems for the Senate. Now, to go back to your example of students protesting a Senate meeting, students who attend a Senate meeting don't have the same privileges under Robert's Rules of Order that members do. So members have to go through a certain.
What I was trying to touch upon is that is kind of a precedent that could be set and be argued in that sense, that then basically what we're trying to change here, I think this would be more of an issue for the Supreme Court to decide rather than the senators when we clear up the language, because then we don't know how it will really play out. But again, that's my point, and I'll reflect on that when I vote on this.
I do have a question. I'm sorry. I guess, Andy, if possible, what is your motivation for I guess the legislation?
The motive truly is the vague language of the passage, because it implies that the speaker can remove a member from the body, but doesn't give any qualifiers to that power, as the language currently is. which what I think this language likely is sort of vestigial from something that we've already amended away, perhaps in past sessions. Because to me it doesn't logically follow that you would refer to a speaker's power when you're enumerating the sergeant at arms powers without enumerating the speaker's power in the speaker's powers passage. So yeah, so I think this is some sort of vestigial language that causes a weird, I don't want to call it a loophole, but it causes a weird edge case if we ever did get to the place where a member was acting so outrageously that they needed to be removed from the Senate chambers. I think they could successfully argue that the speaker didn't have the power at all to remove the member from the body at the Supreme Court. And then, that would cause a little bit of an issue in the Senate.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to end this period of questioning if nobody has any more questions and move forward in our agenda.
All right. Is there a second to the motion?
Casey seconds.
All right. We'll go ahead and move forward, and we'll wait for the bill to come to voting. All right. So before we go to the MOMO board, so I didn't submit any officer reports, mainly for the fact, so currently everyone in staff is just working on transition documents right now. And so from that last week that we met, staff wasn't aware that we were having an extra Senate meeting in between. So that's the report of what we've been working on is just transition. Currently, there hasn't been anything new, just really trying to get everything pretty much together for the next administration and make sure that we're prepared to go ahead and fully transition. And so actually, their transition documents are due tomorrow. So they'll be able to talk about that this week or on Friday. So, well, why am I saying Friday? When they submit their videos for next week, then they'll be talking about exactly what's been going on after transition. But currently, that's all we've been working on. We've been focusing on transition. Okay, so for this last piece that we had for the meeting, I'm seeing honestly a lot of just people are kind of look like they through with it all at this point. But one last piece that I did have for this meeting was focusing on, so for our meeting today, we actually did want to do some sort of a Senate social or a virtual activity together with everyone. And so before I adjourn this meeting for today, I will be sending a link in the Senate chat. And so a MOMO board is essentially, this is what a MOMO board is. This is a what I wish I knew board where I'll be sending you essentially this link and you'll essentially pretty much talk about your experience within Senate, what you wish you knew within this role. This is something that I want to give in transition to the next vice president so that they have some sort of tangible understanding of exactly, how to kind of go, what direction to go into when entering in. I'm sorry, I don't think this actually sent a hyperlink. I don't know why I didn't. But essentially have a just a map of exactly how to navigate in this area of being a representative in Senate, whether it being the senator, a speaker, an officer, whoever it is. Essentially, that's my goal from this. And I want this to be something that you all take very seriously because I want this to be passed over. And I would like the new senators to have something that they can refer to. And I mean, that's pretty much it. It's kind of something like a memo board, but it's a virtual memo board. So if you guys don't mind, we'll take about 10 minutes. I think you guys should have the link. Let me know if you're able to just like, you should be able to just use that link and then from there, type in like, you know, what you wish you knew. I honestly don't want to send this like through an email just because I feel like this is going to get lost in emails and nobody's really going to respond. I'm going to have less responses on here. So I do want this to be something that you guys, everyone responds to and gives feedback and input of what they wish they knew. So even though I know it is 6:45, yes.
I got the link, and it's you have to just giving a heads up, you have to download an app to participate on this.
Okay.
Just giving a heads up to everybody. It's free.
Yeah, I don't think it should be too complicating. I was hoping, okay, I see Andy's already on here. So yeah, I'm actually going to stop the recording so we can actually just like have tunes in the background so you guys don't have to be sitting here in silence. And yeah, just give yourselves about 5 to 10 minutes to go ahead and submit those. Don't leave yet. Honestly, actually, you're fine to leave after we go ahead and finish with the submissions for the Momo board. So yeah, after you submit, you can leave, but don't leave before you submit. Thank you. Wait, Maria, do you actually, I don't think I'm able to like play it from my computer. Do you mind playing music if you can?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.
Do we have any song requests?